Look at this thing, a tiny plastic toy. You cannot eat it, you cannot wear it, does not make you more productive. It will not pay your rent, and in the most brutal economic sense, it has almost no practical use. And yet, people line up for it. They fight to buy it. They buy one box, then another, then another. They trade them, they resell them. They chase the secret edition like it is a lottery ticket. And some collectors are willing to pay hundreds, thousands, sometimes even more, just to own one rare version. That is the genius of Pop Mart. It looks something most people could call useless, and turn it into one of the most profitable consumer businesses in Asia. But here is a real question. Why? Why are young people so addicted to these little figures? How does Pop Mart make so much money? Is this a toy company, an IP company, a retail company, or something much bigger? And most importantly, can this growth actually continue? Today, we are breaking down the full Pop Mart story in 7 parts. Hi, my friend. I'm Sheila Wang. I'm here to update it on the most cutting-edge and fresh business and investment information for you. So don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe my channel. I also welcome you to join the discussion in the comment section below. Now, let's dive into today's topic. Pop Mart. I believe once you understand Pop Mart, you do not just understand blind boxes. You understand the future of emotional consumption. So Pop Mart is not just a real toy company. Most people look at Pop Mart and say, oh, it just sells blind boxes. Yeah, that is technically true, but it misses the entire point. Traditional toys are usually sold to children, right? They compete on function, gameplay, safety, or entertainment. Pop Mart sells to young adults, and what it really sells is not plastic. It sells identity, it sells aesthetics, it sells emotion, it sells anticipation. It sells the tiny hit of dopamine right before you open the box, my friend. The Molly, the Labubu, the Dimoo, Skullpanda, Crybaby, and the Harano, these are not just figurines. They're emotional avatars. Molly's proud and stubborn, right? Labubu is weird, wild, and mischievous. Dimoo feels soft and lonely. Skullpanda is dark, stylish, and cool. Harano feels introverted, wounded, and deeply human. You are not buying a toy, you are buying a version of yourself. And that is why Pop Mart is closer to a record label than a toy store. The artist creates a character. Pop Mart discovers it, packages it, manufactures it, distributes it, markets it, and turns it into a star. In other words, Pop Mart is not selling objects. Pop Mart is industrializing emotion, and once a company learns how to industrialize emotion, the upside can be enormous. But Pop Mart did not start as an empire. It starts as a small lifestyle shop in Beijing. So how does this transform from a small shop to a global IP machine? Pop Mart was founded in 2010. At the beginning, it was basically a trendy lifestyle retail store. It sold creative goods, small gifts, and pop culture merchandise. Nothing crazy, no global empire, Labubu obsession, no billion-dollar IP machine. Then came the turning point. In 2016, Mart partnered with artist Kenny Rome and bought Molly into the blind box format. The Molly Exotic series took off, and that moment changed the company forever. Pop Mart realized something very important. Selling other people's products give you retail margins. Owning and operating IP gives you power. So the company made a strategic pivot. It stopped thinking like a shop. It started thinking like an entertainment company. Find artists, sign IP, create collectible series, build scarcity, open stores, launch robo shops, go online, expand overseas. turn niche art into mass culture. That is Pop Mart playbook. The company went from a small retail store to a full-stack IP platform. Design, manufacturing, distribution, membership, community, events, licensing, global expansion, everything is connected. And that is why calling Popmart a blind box company is like calling Disney a cartoon company. It is technically true, but financially, it's way too small. Why Popmart becomes so addictive? There are three psychological engines behind Popmart's rise. The first one is uncertainty. A normal purchase is simple. You pay money, you get the thing, but the blind box changes the emotional structure. You pay money, you get suspense. Before you open the box, your brain is already engaged. Maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the secret edition. Maybe this completes the set. Maybe I get lucky. This is why blind boxes are so powerful. They convert shopping into a game. One box is not just one box, it's a chance. The second engine is emotional projection. Popmart characters often do not have fixed, detailed stores like Marvel superheroes. That is not a weakness, this is a genius. The characters live space. You can project your own feelings onto them. A lonely person sees comfort. A rebellious person sees altitude. A stylish person sees taste. A tired person sees healing. The less the character says, the more the consumer can feel. That is why these figures work so well on Instagram, TikTok, Xiaohongshu, and YouTube. They are cute enough to share, ambiguous enough to personalize, and emotional enough to collect. The third engine is social currency. A blind box is not just something you buy, it's something you unbox. Something you display, something you trade, something you post, something that says, "This is my taste." That turns the product into a social object. And once the product becomes a social object, the consumer becomes a marketing channel. Every unboxing video is an ad. Every collection photo is an ad. That is how Popmart turns fans into distribution. And then Labubu changed everything. Now, here comes the Labubu. Labubu was not just a hit, it was a supernova. Labubu became one of the most important consumed phrases in the world. Not because it was conventionally beautiful, actually, that is the point. Labubu is not a perfect princess. It's not polished, it's not safe, it's a little strange, it's a little ugly cute, and that made it feel different. In a world where everything is over-filtered, Labubu felt alive. Then celebrities started showing it. Then social media amplified it. Then scarcity made it hotter. Then resellers turned it into a market. Suddenly, this little monster was not just a toy. It became a signal, a back charm, a fashion accessory, a collector's trophy, a personality badge, a global status object. And the numbers show how powerful it became. In 2025, the monsters in the IP family, that includes Labubu, generated about 14.16 billion RMB in revenue for Popmart. That was 38.1% of the entire company. Just to think about that, one IP family created more than a third of total revenue. That is incredible. But it is also dangerous because when one character becomes that big, investors start thinking about the obvious question like, what happens if the crazy cools down? Well, we will come back to that. But first, let's talk about how Popmart actually makes money. The business model is better than most people realize. Popmart's business is a closed loop. Upstream, it finds artists and IP. Midstream, it turns those characters into standardized products, right? And downstream, it sells through stores, drop shops, online channels, applications, exhibitions, and overseas market. And after the sale, it brings consumers back through membership, new series, hidden edition, and community. That is the loop. Discover IP, package IP, sell IP, build fandom. launch new series, repeat. The money comes from 5 major streams. First, blind box and collectible product sales. This is the core engine. A traditional toy might be bought once. A blind box is designed for repeat purchase. You want your favorite character, you want a full set, you want a hidden edition, you want the next series. The second stream is product expansion. The now sells plush toys, mega collectibles, accessories, lifestyle products, and more. And this matters because plush changed the growth curve. In 2025, plush toys generated about 80.71 billion RMB, accounting for 50.4% of the total revenue. That means plush became bigger than traditional figures. This is a huge signal. Pop Mart is not trapped inside one product format. It can turn an IP into a plush. From pendant to large collectible, from shell display to fashion accessory. Third, international expansion. In China, Pop Mart viewed the model. Overseas, it is trying to multiply it. Asia Pacific, the Americans, Europe, and other regions all grew rapidly in 2025. The Americans alone jumped from about 802 million RMB in 2024 to about 6.81 billion RMB in 2025. That is not normal retail growth, it's a breakout growth. Fourth, licensings and collaborations. Once an IP becomes famous, the company can earn from partnerships, brand collaborations, licensing deals. This is where Pop Mart starts to look less like a toy company and more like an entertainment company. The fifth, membership and repeat purchase. Pop Mart does not just want one-time buyers, it wants collectors. Behave differently from normal consumers. They track releases, they join communities, they buy food sets, they trade, they come back again and again. That is why the real asset is not just an inventory. The real asset is an fan behavior. And in 2025, the financial results were stunning. For a company selling physical products, 72% gross margin is extremely powerful, my friend. It tells you this is not a commodity toy company, this is a branded IP economics. But the real moat is even deeper than the margin. So, what is Pop Mart's real moat? A lot of people think the moat is blind boxes. I disagree. Blind boxes can be copied. The real moat is the system behind the blind box. Pop Mart has 4 layers of competitive advantages. Let's peel it off. The first layer is the IP lifecycle management. Many companies can find a cute character. Very few can turn that character into a multi-year commercial asset. Pop Mart can discover an artist, test a character, launch a series, measure consumer reaction, scale production, build retail visibility, create community, and keep refreshing the IP with new product line. That is not logs, that is an operating system. And the second layer, full chain control. Pop Mart controls the key parts of the chain. Artist discovery, IP operation, product design, manufacturing, coordination, retail stores, web shops, online sales, membership, toy shows. Overseas expansion. That gives the company speed. If an IP starts trending, Pop Mart can move fast. More production, more channels, more social content, more limited jobs, more international push. And layer 3, emotional value. This is the hardest part to copy. Factories can copy plastic, competitors can copy packaging, but they cannot easily copy emotional connection. A strong IP creates irrational preference, and irrational preference is where pricing power comes from. Consumers do not ask how much plastic is inside the box, they ask how much do I want this character. That is a completely different business. And the fourth layer, global retail experience. Pop Mart stores are not just stores. They're physical media. They create discovery, they create social proof, they create photos and lines. Let's go to the last part. How Pop Mart creates a hit IP. PopMart built a portfolio of characters. Some are owned, some are exclusive artist IPs, some are licensed collaborations with major global brands. The company does not need every IP to become a monster hit, it needs a few to break out. PopMart looks for characters with strong visual identity and emotional resonance. Can people remember it instantly? Can it work across multiple product forms? Can it generate fan discussion? Can people project emotion on it? Second, test the market. If the demand is strong, PopMart can increase production, expand channels, give the character better store placement, and build more marketing around it. The third process is scale the winner. Once an IP shows breakout potential, PopMart does that record labels do with a rising star. And the fourth step is extend IP. This is where the long-term dream comes in. If PopMart can move from collectible into animation, games, theme parks, fashion, and entertainment, then the company becomes much more bigger than blind boxes. Now let's talk about the risks. Because every great business model has shadow. The first risk is regulation. Question whether blind boxes encourage compulsive spending, especially among the teenagers. China has already placed restrictions on selling blind boxes to very young children, and the state media has warned about the addictive nature of mystery box products. This creates a structural tension. The second risk is scalping and resale speculation. When a hidden edition sells for many times, the original price creates hype, but it also attracts scalpers and can hurt real fans. It can damage trust, and it can make the brand feel less like culture and more like speculation. And the third risk is IP concentration. Labubu is a blessing, but it is also a dependency. When one IP family contributes such a large share of revenue, investors will worry. Can PopMart create the next Labubu? Can Molly, Skullpanda, Crybaby, and new characters share the burden? Can the company avoid becoming a one-hit wonder? That is a key question for the stock. The fourth risk is globalization. Selling in China is one thing. Winning in Thailand, the US, Europe, Japan, and Korea is another problem. Every market has different aesthetics, different fandom behavior, different retail economics, and different culture codes. Labubu may travel well, but not every IP will. Meanwhile, the competition is getting brutal. PopMart is the leader, but it's not alone. In China, competitors are attracting from different angles. Many other big brands are competing in this area. Internationally, the battlefield gets even harder. Lego, Sonny Andrew, Sanrio, Jellycat, so many competitors. So PopMart is not just competing with toy companies, it's competing with every brand that sells emotional attachments. And that is a massive category. A good news PopMart is that it has something many competitors do not have, a proven IP to retail machine. The bad news is that the machine needs constant hits, and hits are never guaranteed. So my friend, that is all what I know about the Labubu. And what else do you want to know more? You can leave your comments below. See you next time, my friend.